I would like to take the opportunity to welcome you all to the Building and Cooling Pavilion and this opportunity to moderate the program. My name is Hubert Zan. I'm with the Ghana Energy Commission, the focal person for the Global Cooling Pledge, and also the lead negotiator for mitigation and energy transition for Ghana. So it's a pleasure to welcome you all to the session. I would want to give a brief background on the basis for this meeting and this session that we are having. We all know that cooling is no more a luxury, and as a matter of fact, passive cooling is also very necessary. Now, it's important to look at how industries, and we have Daikin here, we have Metros Energy, and then we also have the sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria being represented here, to look at how we can interplay in terms of the cooling demands, the necessities, and what we can do together as a country. We all wish that we can fight for the globe, but how do we collaborate? And I think these sessions will give us an opportunity to be able to look at how we'll go about the main activities. So with this, I would like to take the opportunity to invite Mr. Homping Lee to give us an opening remarks. So please give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hubert. It's lovely to see you again. Huh? We've been meeting all the time in recent days. And firstly, I want to say welcome to the session. This is a session co-organized by Daikin and United for Efficiency, which is an initiative hosted by UNEP. I like the name of our event. It's Cooling Ventilation for Comfort and Decarbonization. So we don't forget what the cooling and ventilation is about. So I think it's very important. It's not only about climate. So let me see quickly a few words to remind us what are the challenges, opportunities we are facing. So as the temperatures continue to rise, cooling is becoming essential for human health, comfort, and productivity. How we meet this growing demand will determine whether cooling drives up emissions or supports our collective decarbonization goals. Globally, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, account for nearly 40% of total building energy use. Without significant efficiency improvements, energy demand for cooling could triple by 2050. The good news is momentum is building. In 2023, more than 70 countries endorsed the Global Cooling Pledge, committed to increasing the global average efficiency of new air conditioners by 50% by 2030, compared to 2022 levels. So UNEP's United for Efficiency has worked in over 80 countries on setting up minimum energy performance standards, procurement specifications, and financial mechanisms. U4E has developed globally recognized model regulations guidelines, serving as a baseline for governments to implement an efficient and lower global potential refrigerants, being developed at the regional and the national levels, including Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So the clear signal there, the world is ready to act. So how to translate the pledges into implementation will require innovative policy coherent and strong public-private collaboration. That's exactly what today's session is about. We will hear how efficient technologies such as inverter air conditioners and energy recovery ventilators can significantly reduce energy consumption, and how minimum energy performance standards, maps, and regional harmonization can make efficient solutions the global norm. So UNEP, through initiatives such as United for Efficiency, the Global ABC, the Cooling Coalition, we are fully committed to helping countries to develop and implement policies that deliver sustainable, affordable, and efficient cooling for all. I look forward to hearing our distinguished speakers' insights to exploring together how we can accelerate progress toward a cooler, cleaner, and a more resilient future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Homping Lee, the Chief Mitigation for UNEP. I would like to also take the opportunity to invite another champion from the West African region. And he is in the person of Mr. Mustafa Abdullahi, the Director General and CEO of Energy Commission of Nigeria. So please do me the honors to give him a welcome round of applause.
Thank you so much, my brother from Ghana. So first of all, let me appreciate Dykins and U4E for this wonderful August gathering here today, for putting this together. I would like to begin by recognizing the dignitaries here. I mean, few that I know, obviously. My own chairman, the House Committee on Science and Research Institute, is here today to witness this. Our development partners, from JICA, Dykins, U4E, UNEP, of course, and all distinguished members here present. I say good morning. My job today is very simple. I'm just here to give a keynote speech on this very topic, which is very, very important, I know. The topic is on efficient cooling and ventilation for comfort and decarbonization. I like that comfort there because we need to create a comfort environment. I've made my speech a bit segmented. I was speaking on why do we actually need cooling? Why do we have to spend so much in cooling? What are the effects of cooling to the environment? How does it affect our living? How does it affect our policies as well? And how does, as a government, how do we also influence to ensure that we have efficient cooling and save costs for our citizens? So I'll begin. We all know that climate change and global warming are no longer abstract or concepts. They are stark realities that confront us daily. The impacts are evident, such as rising temperatures and increasing frequent heat waves, which have become part of our life experience. In response to this growing heat stress, the demand for air conditioning system is expected to surge significantly. While air conditioners provide much needed thermal comfort, their increased use poses a serious challenges due to potential rise in energy consumption and associated greenhouse gas emissions, particularly from conventional refrigerants. This underscores the urgent need for sustainable, energy efficient, and environmentally friendly cooling solutions. Using my country, Nigeria, as a case study, as we all know, we are located at a tropical region, faces year-round hot temperatures, coupled with rapid population growth, urbanization, and a rising middle class. Our cooling demand is increasingly sharply. Cooling is now essential for public health, productivity, digital infrastructure, and national competitiveness. It has therefore become extremely critical for food security. Now, it will interest us to note that Nigeria alone loses 30 to 50% of its perishable inadequate cold chain systems. That's the food systems. Efficient cold rooms, refrigerated transport, and pack house cooling will reduce this waste, increase farmer income, and cut agricultural emissions. For us as a policymaker, how do we address this issue? I am very happy here to state that we have developed a new minimum energy performance standards, MEPS, for air conditioners, of course, which has been approved by the federal government and Nigeria. I must, at this junction, pause a bit to also emphasize the contribution of our development partners, one of which is seated here today, the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. I mean, our brother, the consultant, is here. He must certify, I'm sure he's here to speak on this implementation of this UNEP. We have the Cooling Coalition. We have A few other partners, the Daikin's that have helped in the technical discoveries and, experiments that are here seated here today. So I must recognize them for this great feat. And few other development partners as well. With the implementation and enforcement of these landmark standards, will bring both economic and environmental benefits to the nation, as these lead to energy savings, reduction in energy demand, and increase in energy access. Furthermore, our national energy policy mandates efficient energy use, such as MEPS and technology adaptation. This supports the AC MEPS created by Nigeria and labeling regulations, which phase out inefficient models and guide consumers. Now, to validate these MEPS, these standards, we also have a very important project that have been conducted with the help of Daikin's. Daikin's launched a demonstration project comparing energy efficiencies of its inverters ACs using R32 refrigerants with a non-inverter ACs from other brands, of course, using R410A refrigerants. And the results were very, very compelling. Inverter ACs were seen, and that is the R32 technology, to have achieved 40 to 48% reduction in energy consumption and 42 to 49% reduction in annual GHG emissions. I mean, this is really a practical proof that our MEPS really works and it can save the world. So these comparative tests support the recent introduction of MEPS, of course, of the air conditioning in Nigeria. We are set to be, which is set to be enforced in December 2026. There's a reason why it's that far. Next year, December, we'll be enforcing this because, we need to develop labels. We need to train our, the regulators, the Standard Organization of Nigeria. I know that recently with UNEP and Standard Coalition and all that, we trained the standard and those at the borders to be able to recognize the, the ACs that will be brought into the country. So very soon it will be implemented. In conclusion, efficient cooling is a major climate solution for tropical nations like Nigeria. Getting it right protects health, reduces food loss, lowers emission, and strengthens energy ecosystem. I will end by saying, Nigeria stands ready to turn policy into action. So therefore, let's work together to build a more efficient and global world with a more safer and a cooler ecosystem. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, DG, for this wonderful keynote address. I think clearly it tells you the effort that is being made in sub-Saharan Africa. And we all know how big the Nigerian market is. And so if efforts like this are being made, I think they deserve another round of applause. I would want to take the opportunity to also invite technology developers. In the keynote, we heard about Daikin, we heard about inverter technology and all of that. So we have in our midst Mr. Tahahiro Asahi, the Manager, External Relations Department for Daikin's, to take us through a presentation on inverter and then some of the policies that they have. So, sir, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction. So I'm Takahiro Asahi from Daikin Industries, and it's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here to introduce some of our solutions of cooling and ventilation, which we believe contribute to decarbonizing buildings. So next slide, please. For those who are not familiar with Daikin, Daikin is the world's leading air conditioning company, headquartered in Japan. We celebrated 100th anniversary last year, and we are operating business in more than 170 countries, and we have more than 100,000 employees globally. So we are aiming to achieve, could you go back, please? Thank you. Could you go back to the previous slide, please? Thank you. Yes. We are aiming to achieve net zero by 2050. And when we look at the GHG emissions, most of it comes from the scope 3 downstream, mainly from energy consumption. This is why our focus is on reducing energy consumption during use, and heat pumps and so on. And Daikin also supports the global cooling pledge. Next slide, please. As temperatures are rising, air conditioning is becoming a necessity rather than a luxury, as pointed out by Hubert in the beginning. Thank you. And air conditioning contributes to healthy and safe living, boosting productivity and economical growth and adaptation to climate change. And the demand for air conditioning is expanding as a social infrastructure. And here it is extremely important to curb the rising electricity demand for air conditioning. Next slide, please. When we look at the global GHG emissions, buildings are responsible for 34% of it. And most of it comes from the operational phase, as shown in this figure. So we believe reducing operational carbon is the key to decarbonizing the building sector. And we offer solutions such as inverter air conditioners, air conditioning system with excessive cooling prevention, ECP, which I will talk about later, and heat pumps and so on. Next slide, please. First, inverter ACs. Inverter AC optimally adjusts its motor's speed according to the room temperature rather than frequently start and stop operations. And it really significantly reduces electricity consumption and GHG emissions as well compared to non-inverter ACs. As you can see, about 50% reduction is possible just by inverter ACs. Next slide, please. And these tables show how much energy can be saved by inverter ACs in actual use environment. And we have demonstrated energy savings in countries around the world, most recently in Nigeria, as Mr. Abdullahi presented. Thank you. So it was 40 to 48% reduction. It was such a huge reduction. We knew that inverter ACs are very effective, but myself, I could feel myself that it's really huge reduction. And it's very important. Thank you. Next slide, please. However, as shown in this map, there are still many countries where inverter ACs are not widespread, such as Africa, Southeast Asia, Middle East, North America, and here in Latin America. So we need to accelerate. Next slide, please. We believe proper standards and labeling are key to accelerating its adoption. There are 3 key factors to focus on. First, proper seasonal performance evaluation standard. And second, labeling program to guide consumers to choose energy efficient air conditioners. And third, regularly reviewing MEPS, minimum energy performance standard. Next slide, please. So this is the second solution I'd like to introduce today, ACECP, as we call it, which is a combination of air conditioning and ventilation, as shown here. And if you ventilate rooms in a conventional way when you are cooling, you are throwing away cool air to the outside, and you are taking in hot and humid air to the inside. But with our energy recovery ventilation, just as shown here, we exchange both temperature and humidity of the air going out and air coming in to reduce the heat load of the air conditioning. And on top of that, reduced indoor humidity enables users to set more moderate temperature. And this also leads to huge energy reduction. And this system is immediately practicable mitigation measures. And it requires no significant surplus cost. And 40% energy reduction was demonstrated in Thailand. Next slide, please. And this is how it works. When cooling, conventional ventilation systems throw away cool and dehumidified air and take in hot and humid outdoor air. And due to high humidity in the room, we need to excessively cool down the room, like 23 degrees. If they set appropriate temperature of 26 degrees, due to high humidity in the room, they fail to achieve comfort. But in our system, when we use the heat recovery ventilation, energy recovery ventilation, then the incoming hot and humid air will be cooled by the air going out. And the humidity will be kept very low. This is why they can set temperature of like 26 degrees, and they can feel very comfortable thanks to the low humidity. This is how our system prevents excessive cooling of like 23 degrees. Thank you. So next slide, please. Finally, this is the result of our demonstration in Thailand. Energy reduction of approximately 40% was demonstrated, while comfort was improved according to the questionnaire. Next slide, please. Thank you. I introduced two of our solutions that can significantly contribute to decarbonizing the building sector, the inverter ACs and the air conditioning combined with the ventilation, energy recovery ventilation. The point is that both of these technologies are not technology of tomorrow, but the technology of today that we can implement immediately. As Daikin, we'd like to do our best to help implement these solutions to achieve decarbonization. I'll stop here. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think the case has been made. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have had a lot of issues about dumping new substandard products. But clearly, Daikin is telling us that the technology is available. We need to make sure that there's an uptake so that we are able to get also better technologies. We are not reinventing the wheel. Technologies are available as indicated by Daikin. And so let's look at the effort to make sure that this comes in. The next presenter will be joining us virtually. So this is a pre-recorded, and he's in the person of Patrick Blake from UNEP. So let's listen to him and find out what he has.
Hi, good morning. My name is Patrick Blake from United Nations Environment Program's United for Efficiency. I'm very pleased to be here today with you remotely in the Buildings and Cooling Pavilion, and pleasure to host this event on efficient cooling and in ventilation for comfort and decarbonization, together with partners at Daikin, Global Alliance for Buildings and Construction, and Cool Coalition. Today, I'll focus my presentation on United for Efficiency, which supports countries to adopt and implement efficient policies, moving from guidelines to real market transformation. The initiative has been active since 2009 in emerging and developing countries. We're active in over 50 countries with 6 regional transformation initiatives. We work on regulations, financing, monitoring, verification and enforcement, awareness raising, and end of life of appliances and equipment. We focus on longer term technical assistance with countries, for example, in 3 to 5 year time horizons. Efficient products reduce the strain on electricity systems, as you see on the right-hand side figure, and it's critical that efficiency is built in as countries manage the growing cooling demands. As many regions have constrained grids, efficiency is the fastest and cheapest way to add capacity by freeing up supply. Getting to that point, on the next slide, you see some of the savings potential from energy efficiency. Here, it's going across different appliances and equipment, showing the savings potential of over 2,000 terawatt hours per year. That's equivalent to electricity consumption of multiple major economies, really illustrating the scale of the opportunity. Also savings in terms of electricity bill savings, financial savings for the customer of over 130 billion US dollar per year. On the next slide, you see the savings opportunity broken down in different product categories, and really want to emphasize that cooling and refrigeration represent some of the largest and fastest growing savings opportunity. And that's what you see here in orange, gray, lighter orange, and yellow. On the approach that we follow, we work on regulations which set the floor through minimum energy performance standards for the floor of the products to enter the market. Use labels to really incentivize higher efficient products through consumer awareness, and also different financial and consumer awareness campaigns to really incentivize the market further beyond the MEPs. Throughout that, we work on monitoring, verification, and enforcement, testing of products to ensure that there's compliance with the regulations, labels, and incentives. One of the key tools that we've developed over the years is model regulation guidelines. We've developed these as templates for countries to utilize for developing regulations or incentives in the countries. It's available throughout the different product categories that we work on, including on residential refrigerators, room air conditioners, commercial refrigeration, and more. It's really a starting point for countries to consider in adopting. It includes both efficiency targets, recommendations for labels and the tiers within that, and also for the cooling products, lower global warming potential refrigerants. I'm also pleased to announce that we continuously update these model regulation guidelines as well, and recently have done so for air conditioners, where we've expanded the scope to multi-split air conditioners and VRF systems, while increasing the higher capacity ranges, including new heating metrics, and also an optional dehumidification performance recommendations. In addition to that, we've also come out with new sustainable procurement guidelines for space and water heating, covering water-based heat pumps, systems, components, safety refrigerants, and life cycle considerations. Just to show how these have been utilized, we don't only develop them, but we also put them to use. In Southern and Eastern Africa, we've partnered with the regional centers, SACRI and EACRI, in their respective regions, and other initiatives with UNIDO and others on this to harmonize standards for both refrigerators and room air conditioners. And this is a regional standard, so really something that the region and the national governments can really take forward with implementation at their respective countries. It was developed over about a 2-year period with consultations at the regional level and national level, and it's aligned with the U4E model regulations. Continuing on, also in Southeast Asia, we've worked at the regional level with the ASEAN Center for Energy, and have developed a regional roadmap for room air conditioners. There, I wanted to share that we've recently deployed that in Malaysia, and supported the government in upgrading their regulation for room air conditioners. And that, again, we supported with different tools, market assessment, techno-economic assessment, and also through different technical consultations. For example, this include consultation with over 13 manufacturers to really understand their timelines for implementing energy efficient policies. And this is available. This was finalized with levels of 4.1 in 2026 CSPF, and then raising it to 6.09 in 2030. And here you see those levels in further detail as well. So with that, I'd like to conclude and really just encourage you to engage with us, for example, through our website, where all those publications and news and more information on the model regulations is available that you can see there. You also can subscribe to our newsletter as well. So with that, I thank you and wish you a very productive event and look forward to engaging soon.
Hello. Okay, so thank you very much. Unfortunately, Patrick couldn't join us here, but I'm sure a round of applause wouldn't be bad. So basically, U4E has shown that, again, we don't need to reinvent the wheels. They have a lot of materials, a lot of roadmaps, and benchmarks, which we can download from their websites and also look at it as countries to develop from it. We have another person joining us virtually from the International Energy Agency, and she's in the person of Madam Sophie Atali. Wi-Fi. Oh, sorry. You see the technological change. I think I'm being told we have a Wi-Fi issue, so let's wait whilst.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning in Belém. My name is Sophie Attali. I work as a policy analyst at the International Energy Agency in the Energy Efficiency and Inclusive Transitions Office. We act as a secretariat of SEED. SEED stands for the Super Efficient Equipment and Appliance Deployment. It brings together manufacturers and governments and many other stakeholders to rapidly accelerate the efficiency of appliances. Please ask you not to share the graphs displayed on this presentation because they are part of our annual energy efficiency report, which will be published and launched live on November 20th. This slide shows the policy coverage, and the IEA has a database that covers the minimum energy performance standards, and for air conditioners we know that 90% of the energy used by air conditioners is actually covered by this policy instrument, which is a good news. However, this graph shows that there are important differences between regions, and therefore there is a policy gap to be filled. We look at the efficiency and we want to see how this efficiency is matched with the policies, and we look at different technologies. So here we have lighting, air conditioners, passenger car and industrial motors. We see that appliances put on the market in 2010, according to the world average MEPS that are here in blue, were half as efficient as the best efficient technologies here shown in green. But today it is much less. And all this shows that the policy has somehow fallen behind the technology progress, and many of these MEPS could be actually strengthened. Here maybe you can see better the situation for air conditioner in particular. This graph shows with more detail the issue of policy stringency. The IEA has developed a policy level index, and the level 100 is actually the one that we would need to reach the net zero emission goals. We can see on the dark blue bar the range of MEPs in 2010 for air conditioners and in 2025 in light blue. We can see that globally these MEPs are more stringent today than 15 years ago, which is a good news. However, we can also see that the average, which is the white dot inside the bar, is still below 100, and we can also see that it's far below the green dot, which is the best available technologies, and also that countries are at different levels of stringency. And it would be really important that government raise the ambitions of these policies, especially in a context of super fast growing demand for electricity for air conditioners. We have been calculating the changes in annual electricity demand for cooling between 2010 and 2024. Of course, it depends a bit on how much electricity was used back in 2010, but anyway, we see that for some countries, the rise has been very important, with plus 250% in China and 350% in India. Energy to keep people cool has seen the fastest growth of any end-use technology in buildings this century. Now, we would like to underline that most efficient devices are not necessarily more expensive. We have been collecting market data regarding purchase price and efficiency in selected regions, and this chart is for air conditioners. We see at the top the Southeast Asian market, which is very well developed with a lot of models, a lot of diversity. Below, a less mature market for Latin America, and below an even less mature market for Sub-Saharan Africa. But on all of these markets, we could find models that were very low energy efficiency or models that were very good energy efficiency at the same purchase price, which means that they are not necessarily more expensive, the efficient models. This is very important when setting the policies to be ambitious. And finally, we would also like to underline, since this is a session on comfort as well, that more efficient AC does not compromise thermal comfort. On the contrary, this chart shows the annual electricity consumption for cooling in a small apartment in Jakarta. And we have mixed efficient and inefficient models, but also looked at what happens with the setting points of the temperature in the apartment. So do we set the temperature rather cold at 22 degrees or a bit hotter at 26 degrees, for example? And what happens if we add the consumption for a fan to feel more comfortable with a higher set point temperature? And we see that combining technical efficiency with higher cooling set points can really shrink electricity demand for air conditioners. This is very important for consumer education in the future, of course. And with this, I thank you for your attention. I'm not sure I can participate in the discussion, but don't hesitate to write us if you have any question. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sophie. Now, we've gotten to a stage where we've had a lot of talk. And so we want to also relate to physical presence. And so we have a list of panelists who I'll be inviting up here so that we can have a discussion around what this whole subject is about. First of all, I would like to invite Madam Miki Yamanaka, who is a Senior Manager, CSR and Global Environmental Center at Daikin's. Please, you're welcome. Please, a round of applause for her, so while she joins us upstage. Yes, you can sit down. I would also want to invite Ricky Adidiata Putra, if you are here. He is the Program Manager, Energy Efficiency Conservation Department for the Asian Center. Sir, you're welcome. We also have in our midst Madam Suruchi Badwal, the Director, Earth Science and Climate Center Division. Madam, you're welcome. You might want to sit here. That's fine. And the last on the list is a very strong man, President and CEO of Metros Energy, in the person of Mr. Bob Hinkle. So I think I can sit here to join whilst you can have the mic. You can have Yes, so as I put it, we would want to hear from these panelists what their viewpoint is as far as the topics are concerned. And I would want to start with Madam Mickey. She likes to be called Mickey for short, so. So to you, Madam Vicky. As global demand for air conditions continues to rise, the need for more sustainable cooling solution is becoming urgent. How will industry respond to these challenges, especially in your case of Daikin? If you can take us through what you are doing as far as policy is concerned.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Mickey. Hi, can you hear me? Sorry. I'm Mickey Yabanaka of the industries. For the answer, it's a very difficult question actually. But as a manufacturer, global air conditioner, our job is to provide energy efficient product and services. Not only product, but also solution and services that are quite important, I guess. And then as Takahiro explained, we are providing inverter air conditioners, heat pumps, which already are proved high energy efficient, and then a lot of significant reduction of energy consumption. But when we combine that product with ventilation system, that will further reduce the energy consumption. That is the two technologies together. So that kind of innovation, I think I call it like innovation. That kind of innovation has to be promoted more. And then our problem is that even though we provide product and the service, we need support from the government and the private partners to facilitate the promotion and the popularization of such service and products together. So for example, such systems, I have to be honest, such systems are not cheap, right? Very expensive. At least upfront cost is kind of expensive, and then consumers look at an upfront cost and then attracted to the cheaper products. But when we look at the running cost, that makes difference a lot. So we needed to increase the awareness of the consumers, and then we need government support to promote the behavioral change of the consumers. Like setting the temperature a little bit upper, that some people do not like it, but we needed to make them understand, rising the temperature, but at the adequate humidity, that will cause you more comfortable air with the lower cost. So such message has to be delivered by the government or other partners. If manufacturers ourselves say such things, people would not believe it, to be honest with you. So I really appreciate if the other parties like government and then private other partners can deliver such message to the market so that people can change their behavior. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mickey. We would want to hear from also another policy point of view, and in the person of Madam Suruchi. In addition, for all of this, the fact that low carbon solutions are already available in the market, policies are needed to accelerate. And so we would want to know from you, from India's point of view, what are some of the policy actions that you have taken and the lessons learned in that space?
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So I just like to start by saying that we are a tropical country, have high temperatures, during the summertime spread across the country. Cooling is a requirement within the country. The kind of temperatures that we experience in India basically demand for cooling needs within buildings, residential and commercial spaces. But the percentage of people who have access to cooling is very limited even today, because we are a large country and a large population. So there's still a growing demand for cooling needs. We do feel in the coming years, India is going to increase the installation of cooling appliances within buildings to be able to provide a comfortable environment to its people, whether we are talking about residential requirements or commercial requirements that we may have. So on one hand, our energy demands are going to increase because we are going to install more cooling within building systems, etc. On the other hand, we have a challenge of reducing our emissions and basically seeing the kind of contributions every sector is having with regards to the overall GHG emissions. And definitely we've seen in the various graphs that air conditioning and refrigeration hold a larger share of the emissions from the building sector. So ideally, there has to be a conscious focus in the country with regards to looking at how we move towards efficient ways and promotion of efficient ways within the country with regards to the cooling space. Now, India is part of the UNEP Cooling Coalition. We are like many members from within the country who are part of the UNEP Cooling Coalition, and we are trying to see how we can contribute in various effective ways with regards to the measures that are being talked about over there, including the phasing out of the HFCs under the Kigali Amendment. We have in the country a massive, a comprehensive cooling action plan, which is India's cooling action plan, which is spread over 20 years, was initiated in 2017, goes all the way till 2038. And the objective of the cooling action plan basically is to reduce energy demand by nearly 25 to 35% by 2037-28. Also basically improve on energy efficiency and basically introduce regulation around the use of these cooling appliances. Apart from that, we have also basically, we have the Bureau of Energy Efficiency star rating scheme, where we have rated our appliances, and the objective of rating the appliances is to drive the consumers to choose efficient appliances and give them a choice to basically select and move towards choosing efficient appliances, while the 5-star rated appliances are more expensive than a 3-star rating and a 2-star rating. But overall, if you see, the consumption of electricity reduces so much in a high rated star appliance that it becomes cost effective for the consumer to basically invest in a 5-star rated appliance. So I think we are basically trying to influence consumer behavior through the rating process and informing them about the advantages of investing in efficient appliances. Apart from that, we also have the super energy efficient air conditioning program, which has been launched, where the objective is to shift people from the traditional AC systems that we had to AC systems, air conditioning systems that are using advanced technologies and are efficient. So there's a program that has been launched in the country to promote that and the uptake of that. The Government of India has also, in the GEM portal, which is the Government of India's procurement portal, basically introduced a category called green air conditioners, which is basically telling that any procurement in the public system now will have to basically go for green air conditioning systems. And therefore, even in the government, if there is any procurement for cooling needs that is done, the push is towards choosing appliances, air conditioning within the system, which is much more efficient. So a lot of initiatives that are underway, but I hope that they deliver. But we also realize the challenges in India are the demands are also going to parallelly increase equally.
So thank you very much. And it looks like a lot is happening in India. The point again is that it is one thing to come up with regulations, to come up with the policies, but enforcement and the actions are also very necessary. So we would want to hear from the Asian Center for Energy how the roadmap for room air conditioners are being implemented in the form of opportunities, capacity building, such as testing, market surveillance, and then also enforcement. How have you been able to do it? If you can share with us your roadmap.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Rizky, and I'm representing the ASEAN Center for Energy. And the ASEAN Center for Energy, we are an intergovernmental organization. We are representing the energy interests of the 10 ASEAN member states, including in pursuing the adoptions of energy-efficient appliances throughout the region. And the regional policy roadmap that we are having focus for the room air conditioning. Basically, it is a shared aspirations by the ASEAN member states to further accelerate the adoptions of energy-efficient air conditioning, which allowing the seamless trade of the energy-efficient appliances by reducing the barriers of trade because of the harmonizations of standards and minimum energy performance. So the roadmap itself, which initially adopted in 2016, where the member states is aiming to further harmonize the testing standard utilizing the ISO 5151, as well as the evaluation standards utilizing the ISO 16358, and also aiming to set up the regional minimum energy performance standards of 3.08 by 2020. And then in 2021, the target of MAPS, which is further strengthened by aiming for the 6.09 of MAPS CSPF by 2025. And to further support the member states in achieving those aspirational targets, we are working closely with the UNEP U4E as well, where we are providing various support such as the technical assistance program for them doing like market assessment, awareness raising program for the member states. And by this year only, we have seen significant progress where, for instance, Singapore earlier this year has increased their MAPS into 6.1, as well as Malaysia has also increasing their MAPS to 4.1 and also aiming for achieving 6.09 by 2030. And then to also further track down the achievements and also policy progress of the member states, we are convening a regional coordination workshop or meeting to get what is the challenge and also what kind of support at the regional level that we can do to support the member states in achieving those targets. And then also we are providing regional tools as well to help them out to increasing the capabilities in monitoring, verification, and enforcement. One of the tools that we are developing, is that the regional product registration database, where we are connecting and collecting data, product information from the national product registrations of the ASEAN member states to be a centralized database platform for monitoring and also ensuring the enforcement of the energy efficient performance in the region. And then the second is that we're also supporting the countries to further assessing their testing capabilities for energy performance, where we are conducting regional round-robin testing. So we are testing the labs across the Southeast Asia countries, looking into their capabilities to perform the energy performance testing in their respective laboratory. And then we do a comparative assessment and also identify capacity building needs assessment for them to further improve and having a similar level of competency and also performance of the testing lab, allowing them to also getting confidence for them to accept test report between this testing laboratory. Then this move into the what we call the mutual recognition arrangement. This is allowing the countries to accepting test report from different countries within the listing laboratory. And we are now working on to integrating energy efficiency criteria into ASEAN electrical and electronic appliances mutual recognition arrangement. This type of arrangement is already implemented in the ASEAN region. So we are now integrating the energy efficiency and then to also further reducing the need for retesting and also duplications of processes when the products coming in into the into the countries. And then also we are similar like India as well. We are acknowledging the role of the government to further creating a demand for energy efficient product. So with the project of Asia Low Carbon Buildings Transition Project, we are developing the regional green public procurement guidelines. For air conditioning, we are embedding the criteria of high performance energy, high energy performance standards, as well as the low global warming potential, as well as life cycle costing as a basis for the procurement criteria for air conditioning. And lastly, just to inform you as well, last month at the ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting, we have adopted the new ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation. The member states are aiming towards a more ambitious target of 40% energy intensity reduction by 2030, which this means that we are required to further increase the level of efficiency of the product that we are looking. And also we are looking for another potential of expansion for harmonizations into other appliances, including the commercial cooling and also industrial refrigeration as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Risky. And as you rightly mentioned, a lot is happening in the space. However, all countries seem to be upgrading their maps. And so there's the need for harmonization. Otherwise, again, the issues about dumping will come in. Whilst you upgrade your maps, the rest will find their way into another market. So I'm glad to hear that efforts are being made, but now the question is also about pricing. We heard Mickey mention that the new technologies are not cheap. So we have Metros in our midst. We know you are doing a lot, Bob, and so would want to hear from you. What are some of the efforts, the actions you have taken that can help us transition to low carbon products as far as cooling is concerned?
Well, thank you to be here. It's exciting. Metris is part of the UN Cool Coalition, so it's great to be here. And just some quick background on Metris. We are an energy as a service provider, so really on cooling as a service, where we fund 100% of the upfront cost of a project, own the cooling assets, and then we bill based on the delivery of sustainable cooling, so delivering sustainable BTUs of cooling and heating. And it's great to be part of a panel here today that is focused on a lot of the key pieces. We've heard about the importance of policy, high efficiency technology, and then standards, which are all key pieces to it. And at Metris, where we're really looking to come in is build strong policy and standards and help remove that first cost barrier, where we can come in, fund a project, and help a customer think a bit bigger. That could be a business or a factory or a school or a hospital. Often those type of entities face a choice between implementing technology that might be less efficient but will cost less, or something that is much higher efficiency but has a higher upfront cost. And what we're trying to do is remove that as a constraint and a barrier and allow people to think big and go after impactful projects now. And this is critical both in the near term and the long term. Obviously, there's a lot of ground to catch up in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, achieving energy savings right now. But with cooling and heating in particular, maybe a little bit different than other types of sustainable energy technologies, these investments will last for decades. So the investment decisions that businesses, schools, and hospitals are going to be making over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years are going to have an impact for the next 30 years. Lots of times in our business, when we go and we upgrade a building, we're replacing equipment that can be as old as 40 years. So this equipment will be installed and last, and that's very important. And there's a strong connection between what the private sector does and companies like Metris with having good sustainable policies. And what we're seeing on the policy front that coincides very strongly with what we see from businesses and building owners is the importance of health. that gets connected to sustainable cooling projects. It's not just about saving energy. It's not just about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's about improving indoor air quality, indoor air quality and indoor air temperature and humidity levels. And all of those factors are critical in terms of certainly reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but also productivity, health, and safety for all the people within the built environment, whether that's a factory or patients within a hospital or students within a school. And there's been increasing studies that have proven that as indoor air temperature rises, the productivity and learning of students drops off significantly. So I think there's a lot of different aspects of cooling and heating projects that we try to enable, and it's important to think of them in a very holistic way.
Hello. So thank you very much, Bob. And audience, as you bear with me, obviously we've heard a lot in this space. And I wish that my audience who are also joining us virtually would have had the opportunity to ask some questions. Unfortunately, we are running over time, and I would kindly ask that after this session, you can have bilaterals with some of the speakers if you have any personal questions. So with help, I would like you to help me give them a round of applause for this opportunity. I would also want to quickly thank the partners who joined and made this program helpful. Dykins, U4E, Global ABC, the Cool Coalition, IEA, Metros Energy, and Asian Center for Energy. Terry as well, and not forgetting the almighty Nigeria, the government of Nigeria, who have been well represented here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I remain your moderator, Hubert Zan from Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great job.
Yes, DG. Yes, Honorable, and then DG, please, if you can join us.